Now that's significant. The Market Research Podcast.
Hi everyone, thanks for listening to Now That's Significant, a market research podcast. I'm your host, Michael Howard, the head of marketing at Infotools. Today, the most significant thing I'm going to be talking about is this. Market research and insights technology is most successful when it is invisible. As part of this episode, we'll discuss what this invisibility means, along with what happens when market research insights technology is visible. We'll also discuss, as part of this, what kinds of technology there are across the end-to-end processes of market research, along with a conundrum facing some insights teams, which can contribute to the level of visibility as well. Do you go for all-in-one, or do you go for a fit-for-purpose solution? We'll look at this, what success looks like when market research and insights technology is invisible within an organization. We'll touch on the role of agencies in making market research and insights technology invisible. And then we'll also look at a few considerations if you're looking for some of this invisible market research technology as well. So, making market research and insights technology invisible. What do I mean by this? Well, being someone who loves a good analogy, I think it's a good idea to picture something that's a little more familiar to us. Think technology and visibility from an automotive perspective. Cars were, by and large, manual transmissions for a reasonable part of the 20th century. If drivers wanted to move gears, they had to move a mechanical lever to physically change the power to gear ratio of the engine. Effort and training was required, especially prior to the advent of this automated gearbox. Learner drivers needed to grasp concepts like gear ratios, speed, engines that are over or underpowered, as well as the impact of driving up or down a hill makes on gear selection. It's a lot to take in and a steep learning curve. These days, thanks to technology, the majority of cars are automatic. You could say the automatic gearboxes are an invisible innovation. Since we no longer need to think about changing gears, the cars do it for us. Drivers can focus on achieving our desired outcome from driving cars, arriving at their destination faster or in a more convenient time than by other means. The overall premise of automation is one aspect of invisibility, but it's not the only. At the crux of this perspective, it's carrying out a task without feeling like you're using technology. This can happen by automating tasks, as we talked about, and it can also be done by making the experience of using technology a delight. For the market researcher, the tasks we're thinking about are primarily the generation of insights, the understanding of consumers. We're all for making technology invisible, and most importantly, making the lives of the market research and insights team much easier. So, what has gone wrong then if market research and insights technology that is used in an organization is visible? Well, a few things spring to mind here, and you might recognize this in your experience, and that is there's too much focus on technology. Technology in and of itself is never the whole answer, and it's not a bad thing, but it helps us improve the lives of employees and consumers. Software vendors have a really fine line to walk as well, balancing the pressures of improving user experience of their platform with fixing bugs and creating new features. All of which are important, but features are often prioritized as they are what will scale their business. Now, features aren't a bad thing, as they can help people carry out additional tasks, but by focusing on these features alone, software vendors can very easily end up spending significant amount of time on these features that either won't be used by a majority, rather than making something that works smoothly and effectively. This can lead to software bloat, which is more costly to maintain. So if technology is visible, organizations can often end up spending more time justifying its usage and spend rather than on optimizing and using it to deliver what is actually there for, that's improving outcomes for the business and its customers. A lack of training and onboarding can also play a big part in this too. That is, the technology being visible. The faster an organization gets up to speed, the better. And this can be enabled through a combination of self-directed and instructed programs. Moving on, what are the types of technology that you can find in our industry, which span the end-to-end process of the market research and insight sector? I like to categorize the types of insights tech into the steps of the overall market research process. Now, there are many views on how many steps there are in this process, anywhere from 5 to 10, and I wouldn't be surprised if there were more as well. So for the sake of this episode, we'll settle on 6: defining a challenge, designing a program, collecting the data, investigating the data, reporting the data, and acting on the data. Each of these are incredibly important and consequentially help the downstream components until the customer is supremely satisfied. Some of these steps are more obvious choices for technology due to their nature, and some aren't, at least yet anyway. Defining the challenge or the business problem is typically reserved just for humans, as is designing the program. Frameworks and templating can be used to great effect here, cutting down a lot of repetitive work, and it's likely that over the next 5 to 10 years or so, we'll actually see some technology providers entering the space. The data collection step has seen a huge injection of venture capital over the past 5 years, from online survey collection platforms to newer methodologies like agile neuroscience platforms, which help brands understand what consumers are understanding in certain situations. There's also those that aid with data quality and fraud prevention too. Investigating the data is another step where plenty of new and existing providers, as well as larger BI players, are entering the space. The one point of caution here is to be mindful with any provider is how well they can process market research data, especially at a respondent level. We know that market research data is very particular. It needs to be respected and handled in such a way that can preserve its true value in the insights process. Reporting is one area where technology is a little light, but not for want of trying. Many insights teams still prefer crosstabs and PowerPoint decks over alerts and interactive dashboards, but this is changing. And lastly, there is acting on the data. This is clearly the most important because all 5 preceding steps are rendered redundant if the business doesn't act on the insights generated. Technology can't really help in this phase yet, though it's only a matter of time before someone creates something that can. Now, I touched on this briefly before, but here's the conundrum facing insights teams. Do you go all in or fit for purpose? All-in-one technology platforms are, as the name suggests, very versatile systems that can be used across many different facets of a business. These systems are often preferred by IT and procurement teams from larger corporates, as they are not just familiar, but they're already paying for licenses. You think your Tableaus, Power BIs, and so on. On the other hand, fit-for-purpose technology platforms are much narrower in scope, focusing on an industry, niche, or a problem even. These systems may be overlooked because they add another layer of complexity into the organization. However, the benefit of going for a fit-for-purpose tool, technology, is that they do one aspect of an insights professional's role really well, which you would expect when they have such a narrow focus. While both approaches can work, some requiring more effort than others, both all-in-one and fit-for-purpose tech can be visible, so it pays to do the appropriate due diligence first. I guess the most important thing with this is what is going to help serve you with your most accurate insights possible. That's one of the biggest things that you'll need to think about. What does success look like when technology is invisible in the market research and insights department? So when your market research and insights technology is invisible, you can simply get on with your job. There's nothing more frustrating than having to painstakingly work around the technology stack in your organization. Yes, it can be done, and some persist, but we shouldn't underestimate the impact of motivation. Insights teams having more of those aha moments. This comes from them being able to spend more time investigating their data, asking questions of their findings, diving deeper than what was initially presented, and serving their organization with game-changing insights. Success can also come when tech automation renders previously lengthy tasks invisible by doing the heavy lifting for insights professionals. Think of the pages of crosstabs that you would normally scan through or historically did, looking through row after row, column after column to find those significant differences. Now, imagine if technology could facilitate that process for you, surfacing the most significant findings across the entire dataset. Then imagine if you wanted to run a similar investigation, but just changing one variable with just a click or a drag and drop. That's what technology can help you with, and that's what happens when it's at its best. Something else that isn't necessarily considered is how insights teams could be able to spend more time reviewing previous waves and other market research data sitting in their system to see if any other trends or observations can be surfaced as part of existing workflows or processes rather than laborious manual exports. Another big benefit of when your market research and insights tech is invisible is that your data is more accurate. Now, this might take some initial work up front to do, and it may also require another team who is more technically minded. The result might also question some of the accuracy of your other systems too, which should always be welcomed, as scary as it sounds. Now, why? Because data is only as accurate as it is collected, cleaned, maintained, and stored. It can also be impacted by new systems that are plugged into your organization too, as well as the many people who have access to that data. Systems that are market research and insights natives will inherently understand and process market research data in ways that others won't. What role then do research agencies play in all this, helping to make market research and insights technology invisible? Unsurprisingly, market research agencies are full of market researchers and their people too. If you feel that you're the only one who's finding it difficult to wrap your head around the changes in the market research and insights technology space, or ResTech as it's also called, they are too. And they're also in somewhat of a tricky position than those who are client side as well. Agencies who carry out a majority of the market research around the world also generally provide findings and insights back to their customers. From a quantitative perspective, these have historically been through pages and pages of crosstabs presented within PowerPoint slides. In one sense, the processing and analysis is hidden from clients. However, that landscape is changing. There is a wave of client-side insights professionals who are insisting on carrying out their own investigation of their market research data, which is technology assisted, rather than having to scroll through page after page on a PowerPoint deck. This level of interactivity means market researchers no longer have to cube their curiosity or have it petered out because of the length of time it takes them to go through the voluminous outputs of their agency. It's actually a win-win for both, as agencies are still able to consult, collect, process, and deliver insights. Then corporate teams can dig a little deeper and optimize their findings, then also help their business to act. What are some considerations if you're looking into new market research and insights technology in the near future? So moving from one way of working to another will require some change. There will be some things that will need to be learned and some things need to be unlearned. Some people will find it easier than others, so do be patient. Some will find the tech more invisible than others too, but take heart. While learning curves can be steep, once employees have become familiar with a new platform, there's a good chance they'll never want to go back. Manual processes are possibly one of the reasons why you may be considering new technology. And that's a good thing because tech is perfectly suited to help your organization to do away with those laborious tasks that chew up valuable time. An added bonus of this is that automating can also help remove human error as well, which adds effectiveness on top of the efficiency gains that you have. One thing that is really difficult to ascertain with new IT spend is the overall cost benefits associated with new software. Vendors can often rave on about the cost benefits from efficiency gains in particular, but they are very difficult to quantify since costs move from wages to IT spend. There's no questioning the efficiency benefits as well as the upside from the additional insights that you discover. However, the costs may just end up moving from one cost center to another. So another good thing to think about is weighing up the cost of the technology against your total market research budget. Some technology allows you to continually drill down into and investigate your historic market research data as more waves and additional data are added to it. This can continually increase the return on investment on your total insights department. You may also end up spotting some trends or finding some things as well, which you didn't spot initially too. So it can all, I guess, snowball on each other. So remember that love at first sight feeling when you took part in a software demo? Well, it's easy to demonstrate new features in closed environments. The real value is seeing what is used the most in software and not just the shiny objects that people are presenting. If you're in a demo, for instance, and you have a wow moment, that's cool. Don't forget to ask the vendor what percentage of their customers actually use that feature. You can also take it one step further and ask them the top 3 features that are used by their customers. This will give you a good sense of understanding what's used most versus what is being presented to you as well. So another thing that we talked about was user experience, or UX as it's also known. It's a highly desired factor when considering different technology providers, and it also plays a big role in how visible or invisible technology happens as well. So having stunning design isn't enough if the actual platform or technology doesn't do its job. Our CEO, Ant Franklin, actually wrote a piece on this for the MR Web Data Viz supplement that's just come out too, where he argued getting data visualizations right requires the perfect blend of both art and science. So the design has to work just as hard as the data. The takeaway from a UX perspective is to remember, what is the experience we have when using technology? Does it feel like it's there or it's in the way we have to if it's a pleasant one or not, and also how easy that technology is to use in order to help us deliver the positive change in the businesses in which we work. So does it actually help us make an impact for the customers in total? Lastly, opting for invisible market research and insights software can help you attract and retain top talent in the industry. When people are used to using particular tools and technology, they rarely want to go backwards and start all over again. Therefore, investing in the latest market research software can actually help you not just understand your market better, but also hold on to people in what is an incredibly tight talent market. So if I can recap our podcast today, I discussed how market research and insights technology is most successful when it is invisible. I discussed what happens when market research and insights technology is visible, the kinds of technology there are across the end-to-end processes of our industry, the conundrum facing insights teams when choosing all-in-one or fit for purpose, and what impact that makes on the invisibility of the software. We also looked at the success and what that looks like when market research and insights technology is used well and properly in our organizations. We looked at the role briefly that agencies played in making market research and insights tech invisible. And then we also had a number of different considerations as well, if you're looking to get some new market research tech into your business. So I hope you found this episode interesting. If you are looking at purchasing technology for your business, it's a great step, but just remember, it's not the technology that's going to be the be all and end all for you. It's what it can help your people achieve. And ideally, it will be as smooth and seamless as possible. So yes, hopefully this episode can help point you in the right direction, give you some good considerations to think of if you are in that selection phase. We would appreciate it if you enjoyed this episode to share it with some of your peers, commenting on what you liked about it, and also leaving us a review on the podcast platform as well. Thanks for listening to Now That's Significant.